first competition in a long time. Like, I just bowled, and it was rough, but we came home with more money than I went with, so I consider that a win.
It's definitely a win.
Great time with great friends. Unfortunately, you couldn't be there, but good reasons. Family matters.
Kiddo graduated from high school, only happens once, so.
But pre-shot routine is something that, like, I do a very minor one, but I noticed a lot of people are really, like, set in their ways. And I know you see it in other sports. It's really popular with, like, baseball and pitchers.
Right.
Oh my goodness, what they do. And batters, the same kind of a deal. How important is having a consistent routine in bowling?
You know, that's a great question, Jen. I think that having a consistent pre-shot routine in any sport, including bowling, is super important, right? One of the reasons why is consistency. As you're practicing, you should practice with the same pre-shot routine that you have when you're competing. Why is that? Let's say that you need to go up and you need to throw a strike to win a tournament, and you don't have any pre-shot routine, or you just get up and put the ball in your hand.
100% nerves.
100% nerves. That shot's going to be more important than every other shot that day, right? Because it is an important shot, but it really isn't that much more important than any other shot. So if you back that down to where you have a pre-shot routine, and you're doing the same things consistently before every shot, it creates a rhythm, a routine, a comfortability that you can lean into when I'm a little bit nervous. I'm trying to shoot my first 300 in a long time. I'm trying to strike to make the cut in a tournament, whatever it is. That pre-shot routine is also a calming factor because you've done it so many times that it just takes the importance of the event or the shot out, and it's just like, I've done this a million times before.
So on that, like, there's one person at my home center, and he'll kill me when he sees this, but I'm not going to use his name. Yeah, you nailed it. Okay. He balks a lot.
Yes.
And, like, is that because of something possibly with the pre-shot routine, or in his case, not? If I'm bowling next to him and he balks, when should my pre-shot routine, I guess, start and stop? Because those outside influences impacting that, like, do you fully back off and start over?
That's a great question, and I think that, you know, to answer the first part of that, I think for a lot of individuals that balk, start and stop, a lot of it most likely is a feel thing somewhere through their approach. They've gone through their pre-shot routine, they start get going, and then something just doesn't feel right, and instead of throwing a shot where something doesn't feel right, maybe making a bad shot, they full stop, right? We've seen people full send stop, like right as they're getting ready to release a ball, their arms come up in the air, and it's like, wow, how'd you do that? See people stopping like the second, third step.
Yeah, I remember once, like a decade ago, I stopped. That just was because the ball wouldn't come off my hand.
Yeah, and it's pretty painful at times too, right? But I think to answer the second part of your question, like, when should you stop? I think anytime your routine, your rhythm is broken for whatever reason, it can be, I've done my pre-shot routine, I'm getting ready to go, and then somebody runs up in our peripheral, right? And it kind of breaks our concentration and focus. I think it's good to set the ball back down, take a step back, and start through your pre-shot routine, right? So I would say to that, anytime you get distracted and your focus is taken away from the shot that you're about to throw, it's just a good opportunity to go back, regroup, not get upset at it. You know, sometimes it happens. You know, I don't think the person's meaning to distract you. Maybe they are, but, you know, ultimately getting back to your pre-shot routine and getting your focus and everything back is important. So whenever you feel like your focus is broken, it's a good time to stop, regroup, and do it again.
So the only thing that I really do in my pre-shot routine has to do with my feet.
Okay.
Because when I set up, I'm consistent. I'm fairly quick. Like, when it comes to tournaments and events and lane courtesy,
right.
A lot of people defer to me first because they know I'm not going to dilly-dally when I'm on the approach.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way.
But the one thing that I do every single shot, once I have the ball in my hand, is I just put my slide foot up just on the edge of the approach. Okay. And just give it a little test. And I don't even know when that developed. I've been doing it for a long time, but I think it happened. I think I stuck once, okay. And I had picked up something on the bottom of my slide shoe, and I started just doing that almost subconsciously, and now that's just my thing that I do, and it helps because if I go to the bathroom and I forget to take the little booty off the shoe, I'm going to find out as soon as I make contact with the back of the approach.
So let me ask, is it the same amount of slides each time, like with your foot? Or do you even think about it?
I don't even think about it. It's just, I make sure it's good. I'm not sticking, and then I get up and I set up and I go.
So that's a good example of what could be a very minimal pre-shot routine. You're doing the same thing before every shot. If you're moving your foot and you're getting set and you're getting ready to throw your shot, that's something you're doing every time consistently, which is getting your body ready to throw that shot. A pre-shot routine doesn't have to be super elaborate. You don't have to take the ball up, spin it, throw it up in the air, do all this fun stuff with it, right? And take, a long time to throw a shot. But a pre-shot routine should be consistent. It should be whatever you're trying to accomplish out of it, whether it be, I see people wipe off their feet to make sure they get a consistent slide, they wipe the oil off their ball if there's somebody that does that, get the rosin bag in their hand, rosin on their thumb, whatever they're doing. As long as it's consistent and it's something that you do every time, I think that's fine. I don't think there's a one size fits all for anything. So for me, I struggle sometimes with, I like to bowl fast. And I sometimes don't go through my pre-shot routine. I say sometimes, a lot of times I don't go through my pre-shot routine. A lot of times I'll just put the ball up in my hand. I kind of do the same thing with my foot to look where I'm going, but I don't necessarily do those things. So sometimes there are shots in tournaments that mean a little bit more, or there's times in tournaments. I'll say, you were watching when I was bowling in Lebanon, and you got to see where there were times where I started rushing myself and getting quick and not taking the time that I was taking before.
Yeah.
Because when things are going good, when we're out here striking, it doesn't matter what we're doing because our body's just in tune, our mind's in tune, everything's going good, right?
Yeah.
When adversity starts coming in, that's where I think we really break down when we don't have a pre-shot routine. And I believe every good pre-shot routine should include some sort of breathing to get you, in the right spot. But you saw that with me in that tournament where I struggled where I didn't have a bad look, but because I got quick, my mind got ahead of me, and I was just rushing to throw shots.
Right. Well, and like the tournament I bowled last weekend, I told you, a couple people beat me by like a shot, and so the 10th frame was one of those like clutch moments.
Right.
And I caught myself there adding in an intentional breath before I took my first step. And I did that intentionally. It was conscious. It was a conscious effort to do that because I hadn't been in a you gotta strike spot in a number of years.
Right.
And thankfully I did, but they also did, so it didn't really matter. But in situations like that, like for me, that's almost like a second pre-shot routine, depending on the circumstances.
It is. I think you hit the nail on the head there, right? Because your pre-shot routine is going to be consistency. It's going to get you there, right? But as bowlers, we're all aware of when we need a strike to win a tournament, when we strike to win a match in a Swiss that gives my team a point. That could be the difference between catching and not catching. Those moments, we're humans, right? Those moments, that adrenaline, everything just escalates. So I don't think it's a bad thing in those situations, especially as you feel that anxiety of that shot coming on, to take that deep breath, let that energy out. You've already done your pre-shot routine, you're focused, take that extra deep breath, get yourself really ready to go, set to throw your shot, and then go execute the way that you're trying to execute, right? And know that there's times where you're going to execute and you're going to get the results that you want. There's times you're going to execute. There's going to be times you don't get the results you want. And there's times you're going to fall flat on your face because, we're human. The moment just got big, right?
Yeah.
And I know that I was bowling a local tournament and I hadn't shot 300 in a while and I had the front 11. I took a deep breath. I did everything right, and I got 6 on the fill ball, right? And it was like one of those where I was like okay with it because the anxiety of shooting 300 was over and helped me move forward. Yeah. But at the same time, that moment was so big for me at that time.
Yeah, because it had been a minute.
I couldn't clear my mind, and no matter what I did, just couldn't get out of it. So, I think whatever you do, I think tying it back together is be precise, be consistent, and with that consistency brings familiarity so that no matter how big the shot is, no matter how tough the shot is, your body's doing the same things that you practice it to do, so it doesn't feel any different.
Yeah, I think that kind of is. So yeah, whatever somebody does, just be consistent with it and try not to distract other bowlers with it. Like, don't be too crazy, but
yeah, I say don't be too long with your pre-shot routines, right? I mean,
I would say it depends on where you're at. If you're not on the approach, and maybe we can just segue into lane courtesy and behavior on the approach. if you're not on the approach, you can do pretty much whatever you want, but you don't want to skip your turn either because that impacts pace of play.
100%.
So, but when people get up on the approach, like that means it's your turn and other people are waiting for you.
Right.
So you got to be conscientious of that. And that would be where if you're going to reset, step off, let the other people go, and actually do a full reset.
100%. You know, and each bowler is unique, right? Because each bowler is going to need the amount of time they need. We see there's plenty of people we bowl with that take a while, right? But that's part of what they do, and it's that mix, right? Because I can't tell you what you do is too short, nor can you tell me really what I do is too long because it's what I do, right?
But at the same time, though, and I don't know, I haven't been paying attention. I remember probably just before COVID that the PBA instituted almost like a shot clock. Is that still a thing?
I mean, the PBA always has a shot clock on TV, and I think technically within the rules there is a shot clock. I don't know that I've ever seen it in any regional event that I've bowled, although there's been times I've probably wanted to call a clock on people, you know,
yeah. But in that note, like if you're developing your routine, just be conscious of the time it takes, because it does impact pace of play, and that can really mess up you and a lot of other people.
Well, and I think I come from a mindset, the more time that I have the ball in my hand on the approach, the more things can go wrong, right? And that's not a one size fits all. That's for me, right? And that's how I've always grown up, was that if I'm standing up here and if I'm thinking about what I want to do with the shot while I have the ball in my hand, I'm already setting myself up for failure, right? To your point, think about everything before you get to the foul line. Do your pre-shot routine and then execute, you know. And you're right, in different events like PBA events, longer time can result in you know, some delays because of the lane courtesy, how it's pair to pair instead of like a one lane courtesy. So again, that also know the event you're bowling, right? So that if you and I are bowling an event and I'm somebody who takes a long time and it's just a one lane courtesy event, well, if I'm up on 2 and you're up on 4, then just go bowl because you know there's no chance that I'm going to get up in front of you.
Yeah.
But if it's a PBA event, then you have to wait for me to bowl on 2 before you bowl on 4. And that also can get somebody, as we're talking about pre-shot routines, that also can get somebody out of their rhythm a little bit when you're sitting here like waiting, you know, in a lane courtesy or we're not sure if it's our turn to bowl or not. So
and like for me, I know the pace of play is really important to me. Like when people aren't up when it's their turn and whatever the pace is, it doesn't matter to me, but consistent pace matters to me. So if it's a 5-person team event and someone goes AWOL for 10 minutes, that's an extra 10 minutes between that shot. Well, then my next shot's going to be rushed, getting everything back in cycle. So like, I don't know, that's just one of my things, and it's just part of the game. But
I feel you, as somebody who's dealing with injuries and arthritis, knee pain, stuff like that, a consistent level of play or pace of play helps me out a lot because my body gets the blood flowing, I feel okay, and then if I sit around and try to make a shot where I've gotten a little stiffer, it's harder to make those shots, right? I'm not as young as I once used to be, but you know, I think going back to that point, it's just about you and your focus and what you need to do from a pre-shot routine perspective, and just being aware, right? If I'm bowling next to you and I'm slow, pace that so you don't come up on the approach while I'm sitting there taking my time to bowl, because everybody should also take the amount of time they need to bowl within reason.
Yeah.